Hello and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be showing you how to make bulgur jollof rice. Bulgur jollof is my favorite meal. I haven't made jollof rice in years because I just prefer the taste of bulgur. So let me not talk too much. Let's jump into it. I'm going to be walking you through it, and of course let me know if you have any questions down below. So the first thing you're going to need is to blend some peppers. So to do this, you need 2 bell peppers, 1 onion, and a Scotch bonnet or 2, depending on how much you like your spice. I'm a Nigerian, so we love a lot of spice over here. So we're going to be using 2. And lastly, a plum tomato. This is going to be the base of your pepper. It doesn't really matter if it's chopped or plum, as long as you've got tomatoes, you're good. Once you blend this in the blender, then you can either reduce it to remove the water from it, or you can just use it as it is. It doesn't really matter. You'll end up with something that looks like this. So then you'll set this aside. Once you've blended the pepper, you're going to need about a cup of blended pepper. So you want to blend your pepper and then take a cup of blended pepper from it. Then you also need a cup of oil. If you don't like oil, you could reduce it a little bit to a quarter. If you don't mind, you don't want to be healthy, then you can use half a cup of oil. It's really your choice, but for this recipe, I decided to use a cup of oil. And then you'd want 1 chopped onion, so a whole onion chopped up. If you don't like onions, you can reduce it. I personally like a lot of onions in my meal. And then for our seasoning mix, we're going to use a 1/4 teaspoon of curry powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, a 1/4 teaspoon of mixed herbs, a 1/4 teaspoon of basil, a 1/4 teaspoon of ginger, half a teaspoon of paprika, 1 tablespoon of chopped garlic. So if you're using dried garlic, I wouldn't use a tablespoon. I'll probably use about 1 teaspoon, but I'm using fresh garlic. So 1 tablespoon of garlic, some salt to taste, and all-purpose seasoning or jollof seasoning if you have some handy. Then we're going to use 2 Maggi cubes. Next, we're going to be using 2 tablespoons of tomato puree. It doesn't matter which brand you choose to use, as long as it's tomato puree, it's good. Of course, we need our bulgur to make a bulgur jollof. I am going to be using 2 cups of bulgur for this recipe. Now, the bulgur I like to use is coarse bulgur, just because it's bigger and tastes more like rice than the refined bulgur. So you can also choose to buy bulgur that's been refined, and that's a lot more like couscous in terms of texture. And then lastly, of course, as a Nigerian gear, we can't have jollof rice or jollof anything without a protein of choice. You can choose to use chicken or lamb chops. As you can see here, I have both seasoned and ready to go. If you're vegetarian, you can go for egg or something, I don't know. Or vegetables, you can spice it up however you like. But yeah, so let's get into it. So the first step is to put your bulgur into a heat-proof container or heat-proof bowl, and then we're going to pour hot water on it. We're going to submerge it, or we're going to soak it in hot water. The water doesn't have to be boiling, it just needs to be quite hot. So we're going to fill the bulgur all the way to the top so that it's completely covered with the water, and stir it around a lot. If there's any dirt in the bulgur, then it can rise to the surface. And then we're just going to leave our bulgur to the side to soak. The reason why I personally like to pre-soak the bulgur is just because it makes cooking time a lot faster than if I was to cook it without soaking it first. And I've always kind of soaked it, so I can't tell you what would happen if you didn't soak it, because I always like to soak it. And you don't need to time how long you soak it for, as long as you soak it whilst we do the next step. So once you've soaked your bulgur, then we can move on to the next step. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pour some oil, so the oil that we prepared earlier, into a pan. The best pan to use when making jollof is always a non-stick pan, because jollof tends to burn. I mean, are you making good jollof if it's not burning? That's the question you have to ask yourself. So you want to fill your pan with the oil, and then wait for the oil to heat up. And once it starts sizzling, then you can add your onions. Then you just want to fry your onions for a while until they become slightly translucent. The next thing you want to do is add in your tomato puree and blend it in with the onions. So you really want the tomato puree to start frying in the oil with the onions. You can also go on and add your garlic in at this point if you're using fresh garlic, and just mix it around. I'd say let that fry for about a minute. The next thing you want to do is add all of your seasoning. So all the seasoning we had on that plate, we're going to pour in now: the curry powder, the turmeric, the mixed herbs, the basil, the ginger, the paprika, honey. You can even add some salt if you would like, maybe just a teaspoon of salt. Then you're going to really let the seasoning and the spices fry in the oil. The purpose of doing this is to really release all the flavors into the oil before we even start frying the peppers. And I promise you, it changes the taste of your jollof bulgur. It takes it to the next level. So you just really want to fry the seasoning, I would say, for maybe about 3 to 5 minutes, nothing more. I'd say about 3 minutes is good, 5 minutes at most. You just want to fry the seasoning in until it's really integrated with the oil. Then the next thing to do is to add our blended pepper to the mix. So you want to go ahead and pour in your pepper and then mix it really well. So you want the flavor and the seasoning and the onion. You really want all the seasoning and the flavor to go into the blended pepper, because this is the majority of the seasoning we're going to be doing. There's not going to be much seasoning after this. So you want to add the pepper and really mix it really well so that all of the flavors are intertwined. Then you're going to fry the pepper for about 15 minutes. I'd say 10 to 15 minutes, 15 minutes max. You want to fry the pepper until the oil starts to settle a little bit on the top and you can see that the flavor has really gone into the pepper. I will also advise adding the Maggi now. So 2 cubes of Maggi and a little bit of all-purpose seasoning if you would like into the pepper mix. And then you're just going to cover it and leave it to fry for a while. So 15 minutes later, we're going to be back to check on the mix. When you come back, it should look like this, ready for the next step. So what you're going to do now is you're going to drain the bulgur. So you don't want any excess liquid in our pepper paste. So we're going to drain the bulgur and then add the bulgur to the pepper mix. So you're going to add all of your bulgur to the mix. Don't worry if it looks like it's too much bulgur. You're going to start mixing it about. So once you've added the bulgur, I want you to start mixing it around. So mix the bulgur thoroughly until it's fully coated with the pepper sauce. You want every grain of bulgur that started off white to now be orange, sis. All right, so you want to really mix the bulgur with the pepper. You want it to be fully coated. And then you're going to go ahead and add about a 1/4 cup of hot water. The water doesn't have to be hot, it's better if it is, but you just want to add about a 1/4 cup of water to the mixture. And then you want to add the water evenly across the mixture so the bottom has some water, and it's going to look a little bit soggy, but you don't want to drown the mixture with water. You just want to add about a 1/4 cup of water, and then you're going to add some foil. You're going to cover, because jollof cooks a lot better with steam, so you're going to cover our bulgur with some foil, put the lid back on, and then we're going to go. From this point onwards, it's going to be about 30 minutes for the jollof to cook fully from here till the end. But we're going to be checking it every 10 minutes or so. 9-10 minutes, it's really up to you. So we're going to check it a couple of times before it does cook. So we're just going to leave it to cook, and we're going to be back in about 10 minutes to check on it and see how it's doing. Right, so it's been about 9-10 minutes since we put it on the fire, and it's going to be, the water has dried up a little bit more, so you're just going to give it a little bit of a taste to determine if it needs any more salt or any more seasoning, and to see if it's still tough. So when you taste it, you're going to see if you need any more salt. If you do, this is a perfect time to add salt or all-purpose seasoning or jollof seasoning. If you taste it and it's still a bit hard to the bite, then you're going to add a little bit more water. I'd say about a quarter cup if it's really hard. And then once you've tasted it, you've seasoned it if it needs any more seasoning, or you've added more water if it's still quite firm, you're going to put the foil back on, cover it, and wait for a while. We'll be back again in about another 10 minutes to check on it. So it's another 10 minutes, and you can, at this point, it's pretty much almost done. We just need to steam it a little bit more, so I won't be adding any more water or anything else at this point. It's just to make sure that it's not burning. I really recommend cooking this on low heat because jollof burns easy, so you want to cook it on low heat so it's just steaming. So yeah, I'm just checking, stirring, making sure everything is okay. Then I'm going to put the foil back on, and we're going to let it cook for another 10 minutes before it's done.
Playing on the track.
Okay, and now our jollof is finally done and finally ready. I cannot wait. As you can see, it's looking ready and done and succulent. And of course, you know, we cannot have jollof rice without fried plantain. I don't know what you're doing if you're not about the plantain life. This is essentially what you want it to look like. And of course, you can enjoy it with plantain and protein of your choice. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know down below, and let me know if you would like to see more cooking videos, if you enjoyed this. If you want to see more things like this, if you want an actual jollof recipe, I can try and make one for you. Just let me know down below what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next one. I hope you enjoy.